Taking down Queen Karen. President of the HOA. Okay, this happened years ago, 1985 to be exact. I was 45 when this happened, 81 now. So after my second retirement, I started doing property management. I bought this 2,500 square foot luxury home in with the sole intention of renting it out. Now I didn't know how bad the HOA was, but when I became the owner I soon found out. This all took place in 2 years' time. Karen would literally have a problem with everyone in the neighborhood. Trash cans left out? Fined. Loud music after 10 p.m.? Fined. Yard sale without permission? Fine. Removing dead plants and replanting without approval, you get fined. It went on and on like this. Now the community could run for the HOA board, but the HOA board chose the president. 6 out of the 10 members on the board liked Karen, so she always kept her job. Her husband was in the medical field, so he made a lot of money. It got to a point too where she was called Queen Karen in the neighborhood and her dishing out HOA fines. Now I used to go in person to collect the rent because the people that rented my house were good friends of mine. I did this for months. So I would park my car by the front of the garage. I and my friends were having some music on, but it wasn't that loud. Queen Karen came over driving her golf cart and said, "Queen Karen, excuse me?" Me, yeah? "Queen Karen, you have to turn that music down, it's too loud." I told her that it was 8 p.m. and that music that's even loud can be played until 10. She wasn't having it and demanded that I do so. Now my friends and I kept the music going and we were enjoying ourselves. She proceeded to get angry and fine me. Now, most people will just take the abuse and pay the fine. But not me. I went to the HOA board, contested the fine and won. From that point on, Queen Karen made it her personal mission to destroy me. She would bitch and fuss about every little thing. I fought what I could, but I did end up paying for some of it. She also went after my tenants, which made things worse for me. I had to sit down with my friends one night to discuss the problem. When I parked my car, Queen Karen came over in her robe and said I have to park somewhere else. I did because I didn't want to start anything. We see her go back into her house and embrace a man that isn't her husband. We were being noisy and we came to the conclusion that she was cheating on her husband. Spoiler alert. She was. My friends and I told Queen Karen's husband. I'm sure he did some investigation because 3 months later they divorced and he was moving his stuff out. Now gossip said that Queen Karen got nothing because she was the one that cheated and she didn't have a job. So she wasn't entitled to the money. From this point on, Queen Karen had a massive decline in the quality of life that she had. She sold her car and got a cheaper one and she adopted different dressing habits. But even after the divorce she never got a job and she was still living somewhat better than everyone else. Fast forward to 1986. In February, Queen Karen and the HOA had been giving out fines for very obscure things and increased monthly dues. Having trash cans out a couple of hours early or after the trash man left would result in a fine. Targeting people that had older or dirty cars goes on and on. Me and the other people the community were sick of the crap that she and the HOA were pulling. So at the next meeting, we made out voices our concerns. Queen Karen said that the community had been falling behind on repairs and that the dues and increase in fines were necessary, especially if people weren't maintaining their own property. She said that it was in the yearly budget report and that we should have read it. The other pissed residents and I go and read the statement. Now none of us read it because we take it as a junk mail and disregard it, but we read the whole statement cover to cover. Queen had increased the HOA budget 15% and where that extra money was going remained unknown. We went over to her house the next day and demanded to know where the extra money was being spent. But she refused several times. She closed the door and went back to watching TV. We filing a joint lawsuit to find out where the money was going. In June we found out. Cue the revenge. Queen Karen was living off HOA fines and dues. The increase is because she was running out of money. She still didn't have a job, so she embezzled from the HOA so she wouldn't have to get a job. She gets busted. We call the police for her embezzling the money. She was charged with fraud and extortion. The neighbors and I filed a joint lawsuit against Karen to get reimbursement as well. Because she had no money, so she had to mortgage her house to pay us all. She later went to federal prison for 6 years with no parole. Because she went away, no one was paying on her house. The bank foreclosed on it and it was bought by someone else. So when she got out in 1992 she was homeless. Honestly, the majority of us didn't want to ruin her life like this. Had she toned down the excessive fines we would have let her be. But she had to double down and steal from us because she didn't want to get a job like everyone else. Edit. Okay, I didn't think that I would have to explain this, but no, I didn't call Queen Karen a Karen in 1985. I just used the name here because I've been told that is what you call an undesirable noisy white lady. I can't use her real name for privacy, so I named her that for the purpose of this story.